But I'm going to go ahead while it's in the slides like this and cover carpool. Carpool is how you drop off, especially your Monday, Wednesday kids, even your Tuesday, Thursday kids, if you bring them, they don't drive. What you're going to do is you're going to go past this first entrance. Don't enter this first entrance. Come around and enter to the side of the building. Come through the parking lot and you'll drop off right in front of the building. So your car seat will be next to the door, closest to the door. Let your kids out and bring them in. They will sign in. We want everyone to sign in when they come in. And then we want them to sign out when they leave. That helps us to know how many kids are in the building. And I think sometimes they get a little bit lax about that, so I'm going to let you know as parents why we do that. We want to try to stay on top of that this year so that we always know how many kids are in the building. And we do fire drills monthly. And so hopefully that will help us to check our records and make sure that we're getting a good count and keeping good record of how many are in the building every day. So you're going to drop them off at the front door. They're going to come in and sign in, and we'll help them get to class. On that first day or two, if you have little ones, you may want to help them come in and get signed in and take them to the class and all that good stuff. You're welcome to do that. But the first days of class are a little bit more hectic because we do have so many coming in just learning their way around. So you can be prepared for that, maybe come a little bit early those first days or two. This is homeschool compliance. Hearts Academy of Excellence needs the assurance that the students taking classes are in compliance with the homeschooling laws of Georgia and Georgia school attendance requirements, as well as the requirements of graduation. So the depot requires that the primary home educator, which is you, the parent, have a GED, a high school diploma, or you hire a tutor that does. That is in compliance with the homeschooling laws of Georgia. That's very important. And it requires that the parent or primary home educator submit a declaration of intent to homeschool and attendance records for the home study program with each school day consisting of at least 4.5 school hours per day to their county school superintendent office for an equivalent of 180 days within a 12-month period. So on your intent to homeschool form, which you can fill out online now because now we file with the state instead of with your county, and the link is on our website, on the old website, Trinity Homeschool. We're building the new one right now, but if you go to the Trinity Homeschool website, you would be able to log in and fill out your declaration of intent even now, okay? If you homeschooled last year, you need to go ahead and make sure your attendance from last year is complete, and you fill out your declaration of intent form for the new year, and you do it for a year. So our first day of class, you can start it whenever you want, but our first day of class, I think, is August 13th, maybe for high school. So we do August 13th, 2013 to August 13th, 2014. It's okay if your years overlap, but at least that gives you full 12 months to fulfill your 180 days, all right? And then you'll be able to do your attendance online at the end of the year, but you should keep monthly attendance anyways, at least for your own records. And in high school, Darlene requires that as well. All right, homework. Tutors will teach the material in class. I explained this a little bit earlier, 2 days per week. Keep online syllabus up to date and grade the tests, quizzes, projects, etc., and put those in the grade book. Parents will oversee and assist students with homework on the alternate days and make sure their child understands what is being taught. Homework will be approximately 30 to 45 minutes per class on each day the child is not in the classroom. So that means if they come to class on Monday, on Tuesday they would have homework for math of an hour. Math is always a minimum of an hour that you should spend with them on those alternate days. For language, 30 to 45 minutes. For science, 30 to 45 minutes. History, 30 to 45 minutes. So if they take all their classes here, you can have 30 to 45 minutes of homework for each of those subjects. That's what it should be, with the exception of math, which should be an hour. So that's really only about 3.5, 4 hours. So that gives you an opportunity to do some extra stuff, extra activities with your children, or help them if they're struggling in a particular subject. And we'll be glad to help you know what those things are. But of course, you can always supplement with whatever it is you desire. And some kids move quickly, and some move more slowly. So where one child might be done in 3 hours, another child, it might take them 4.5 or 5 hours or more. So it just depends on your student. And how much help you give them is also going to just be dependent on each individual student. And that's okay. That's why you homeschool, to give them the help that they need. And so that they can move at their own pace. Always we want to know if your child needs extra help or is not being challenged or is struggling too much. Please let us know so we can work with you on that. PhD or Hearts Academy cannot be responsible for slow progress of students not attending class regularly and completing homeworks regularly. So just so that you know, and we need to make this clear, homework is required. It's not required in that you're homeschool parents and you can do what you want. But I taught some classes last year with the little kids, and it's very evident which ones are doing their practice on the alternate days and which ones are not. And we homeschool our kids because we want them to have the very best. And if they can't get in 2 days what other kids are getting in 5, even if they're home with you, because they're going to get more from you in 15 minutes they can get on the days here in an hour. Even though we do our very best to, keep the classrooms calm and to teach and to make it fun and interactive, just you sitting down with them for 15 minutes is going to be huge for your child. And the reading, for example, for the little kids. We know those kids that are doing those homework and are not doing the homework because they're going to have better success if they're completing the homework. The homework is assigned not as busy work, but to make sure that they're getting that repetition, that they're reviewing, that they're really learning and keeping that information in their brain. Okay? So it's so important that they do their homework. Of course, in high school, it's doubly important because it goes on their record for their GPA. So, parent agrees to be responsible to oversee and/or help the child with assigned classwork on the days that the student does not attend classes at Trinity Homeschool Depot. Will you please initial that? This means you will oversee or help the child with assigned classwork on the days it does not attend classes. The next one, parent agrees to be responsible to make sure the child's homework is completed for the classes at the time indicated by the tutor and to check the records on the website daily. Tutors will not be able to check all home practice assignments or accuracy. Parents are encouraged to do this to determine that the student has a clear understanding of material. So for math, in math, for example, now some of the teachers teach differently and will go over the homework, in class as part of the learning. But not all of the tutors do it that way. They send home that practice homework for the child to do and for you to oversee and make sure not only are they doing it, but are they doing it correctly. So they're not going to grade all of the practice assignments. They don't have time to do that. They're going to grade quizzes, they're going to grade projects, they're going to grade tests, and then maybe some random homework assignments just to make sure they're doing it and they're doing it accurately. But we want you to oversee the practice assignments for accuracy, those things that are not graded. That way you know before the quiz or before the test if they understood it or not, all right? Usually the teacher knows that too, just by whether they're interacting in class or not interacting in class. So if you'll initial that as well. The parent agrees to be responsible to administer tests that might be sent home by the tutor and return them on the assigned day for grading. So a lot of times the test is sent home in an envelope. You'll take the test out, administer it to your student, put it back in an envelope, seal it, and send it back to the class. This is particularly with high school, we handled it that way. The parent, and so if you'll initial that, parent is responsible to contact the tutor if your student is struggling or if your student is not being challenged, if you need some help modifying that syllabus to make sure that your child's getting the very best or getting extra support if they're struggling. Please come in and see me, see the tutor, and we will give you that help. That's what we're here for. That's really what we desire to do. So please don't wait until the end of the school year and tell me that they didn't learn well or they weren't being challenged or something like that. Let's take care of it right away and make sure they have an awesome year. And lastly, it is highly recommended that parents obtain teacher's editions of curriculum to check the child's homework for accuracy and to help them study for tests. We can help you order these through the Resource Center if you need. There are some used copies out there, I think, for some of the subjects, and sometimes we can help you find used ones. There is the homeschool convention coming up at the end of the last weekend in July at the Galleria, so that's always a great place to get some used teacher's editions. But just let us know if you need anything like that, okay? Oops. Grading and attendance is next. Homework and test grades will be posted on the website for the parents' use. The parent is encouraged to use these grades to determine how the student is performing. So you'll be able to log in and you'll see if you have zeros in there, that means your child's homework was not done. That's a good indication. We have to get on top of that, right? But usually you will get an email saying that your student's homework was not done. My kids do not do their homework because I'll get an email or I'll see the tutor in the hallway and they'll lose some privileges. So that just really doesn't happen at my house. So we want you to be on top of that as a parent and make sure they're completing their homework. Let's see, the parent is encouraged to use these grades to determine how the student is performing. Grades can be printed out for semester reports, but the parent has the option in 1st through 8th grade of assigning their child an alternative final grade if desired. In other words, I've had people come to me and they, their child was sick and didn't do a project or something like that, and they want the grade changed. And sometimes we can do things like that, but what the grade shows is how your child did in comparison with the rest of the class. That means completing their homework, completing their quizzes, how well they did on their quizzes and tests and projects. So, you're the primary home educator. You can change that grade if you want, but it helps us to be able to go in and see what the grade is that we have, so we know how your child is performing as part of the class. Does that make sense to you? Okay. No one sees these grades except for you, because you're a homeschooler and these are your grades. Attendance is not required, but refunds will not be given for classes missed. Homework for days missed can be found on the syllabus on the website, and/or the parent may contact the tutors through email for other arrangements. Student grade reports are posted by the tutors and printed from the site by the primary home educator. PhD Hearts Academy cannot be responsible for the slow progress of students not attending classes regularly and not completing homework assignments. Now, Trinity Accreditation Center, or Trinity Center for Independent Study, has different requirements for high school attendance and grading, and students should abide thereby. So and our tutors have to abide by that. So that's why this is in here. Our tutors must abide by the high school accreditation requirements, and that means that if their homework is late, they get docked. Their grade is docked. Also, if they're tardy or if they're not attending class more than 8 times, then that affects their grade seriously. So their attendance and grading is much more important. And so you'll want to talk to Darlene Lee about that and make sure you abide by those grade and attendance requirements if your child is registered with Trinity Center for Independent Study, which I guess I'll go into that very quickly. Trinity Center for Independent Study is for our high school students. All our classes, our tutors, our curriculum, and our syllabus meet accreditation requirements through the GAC. But your classes are not accredited unless you register with Darlene Lee with Trinity Center for Independent Study or another accreditation agency, something like that. So you'll want to, if you have a high school student, you'll want to meet with Darlene and find out what the requirements are for that. And they are separate from us. Even though we fall under her and submit to her guidelines, that's because those are the guidelines for the state of Georgia. And so I really rely on her to make sure that we're offering the very best in education for all of our students, particularly our high school students. And so we abide by those guidelines for our tutors and our syllabus and our curriculum and all of that. And so that should help give you some comfort, but also I want to make sure you understand that we're separate. So you still need to register with Darlene if you want an official transcript and official grades for college and high school transcript.